So the next thing is we need to notice that there are a few changes that we need to make in order to make this application suitable for deployment into the WildFly server. So what are the changes that we have to make is there are two major changes. One is in the form.xml. If you notice that we have a Spring Web dependency which got added, and this Spring Web dependency will also carry the Tomcat server in it. This is an embedded server which we have, so this need to be excluded, and because it conflicts when we deploy it into an external server like WildFly. WildFly itself is an application server, so we cannot run another web server internally into the application server. So we need to exclude the embedded server, number one, and number two is we need to exclude the classic logger, which gets into a conflict mode when we deploy into the WildFly server, because WildFly server will already have its log back for classic log back for logging the details. So we need to go ahead and we need to exclude the two dependencies. So in order to exclude the two dependencies, we can use the build tool itself here. So we have something called dependencies tab, where we can notice all the dependencies are relying here: the starter web, Tomcat, and the test dependencies of the Spring Boot starter package. Along with that, going to the dependency hierarchy, and you have a filter option to search for the dependency that you want to exclude. So it has to be done only from the dependency hierarchy, not from the dependencies tab. Just go into the dependencies hierarchy and search for the Tomcat. So what appears is a Tomcat, the Spring Boot starter Tomcat appears, and you can just right click on it and mention the exclude Maven artifact. So by this way, you're actually excluding the embedded Tomcat server from the application. So now you can notice that there is no presence of Tomcat dependencies. And if you look at the pom.xml, there is an additional, configurations have happened. That's inside the starter web dependency. They've added something called exclusions list. In the exclusions list, the first exclusion list that they have added is the Tomcat server. This embedded server got excluded from the Spring Boot starter web. That means we don't have any embedded server in this project, and we cannot run this project in a self-executable fashion because the Tomcat server is excluded completely. The next important dependency that we have to exclude, since we go for the WildFly server deployment, is we need to search for the log. So upon searching for the log, you can notice that we have a logback classic. Log4j is essentially required, but logback is a part of the Spring Boot starter logging. This conflicts with the existing dependency within the WildFly server, and in order to avoid that conflict, we need to right click on the logback classic dependency and hit the exclude Maven artifact button, and the same way like how we excluded the Tomcat, the same way we need to do it and hit OK. And by this way, you can notice that in the pom.xml, we have the logback server which got, the logback dependency which got excluded from the starter web. So there are two things which got excluded right now. The one is the embedded Tomcat server. The second one is the logback classic.